Hello, and welcome to Accidentally, the IAIABC's podcast that explores policy, practice, and trends in occupational health, safety, and workers' compensation. Today, we are bringing you a special reflection in honor of September 11th. We are on the eve of the 20th anniversary of September 11th. 9/11 was a tragedy that has almost no equal in U.S. history. A day for which everyone has a personal story. A day of death and destruction, but also a day that built bonds, created community, and shaped lives. For me, 9/11 began with anticipation and nervousness. I was at the beginning of my senior year at the University of Kansas, but that day I was beginning a new part-time job. I had driven to work in relative silence because my car radio wasn't working. That was important. I'd missed something. I went into the office and began that first day ritual, filling out paperwork and meeting coworkers. Most importantly, I was trying to master how to answer the phone because hello and welcome to the International Association of Industrial Accident Boards and Commissions didn't really roll off of the tongue. We were 15 minutes into our workday when another colleague came in. She was upset, visibly flustered, and shocked that we were sitting there reviewing the employee handbook. Don't you know what has happened? There's been a plane crash in New York. We turned on the radio and within moments heard the report of the second plane crashing into the World Trade Center. We pulled it up on the computer and the image of Tower 1 in flames was unreal. It looked like a scene from an action movie. Hard to comprehend that this was unfolding in real life. That day in the office was quiet, except for a few calls from IAIABC members, asking what might happen to the convention, which was being held in Portland, Maine, a few weeks later. We had no answers. And so began the first day of work at the organization in which I have built my professional career. It is so important that in remembering 9/11, we not just think about the people who lost their lives that day. 9/11 was also about the thousands of helpers who showed up at the World Trade Center, at the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. It was these helpers who rescued people from the fallen towers, who sifted through the rubble to find personal effects from the lives lost, who cleared away the devastation. These helpers became heroes. The New York State Workers' Compensation Board was a place of helpers. The events of September 11th profoundly changed the work of the board during that time. The chairman, Bob Snashel, shared with the IAIABC recently the impact the event had on the agency. The board was directed through an executive order signed by Governor Pataki that the top priority of all state agencies was to provision and service and support the World Trade Center victims and their families. The board quickly realized that there would be a tremendous need to process workers' compensation claims from the World Trade Center, many of which would be deaths. The agency usually received hundreds of death claims over a year, and now they would have thousands in just a few days. Agency board personnel worked tirelessly to make it easier. They suspended filing requirements, they expedited death claims, and they made themselves available to victims and their families. The board worked hard to encourage and collaborate with insurers and claim administrators to pay these claims. Paul Dion, the current IAIABC president, invited Bob Snashel to speak at its conference a few weeks later, the one in Portland, Maine. Bob Snashel was overwhelmed by the support of the membership of the IAIABC. Our community offered their assistance, and those offers of support continued in the weeks and months ahead. Through tragedy, community bonds were forged. In his opinion, the support from IAIABC members provided Bob Snashel and others at the board the strength and determination to meet the challenges that the board was faced with in the days, weeks, and months after September 11th. These agency staff, who, like most of us around the country, were grieving, went to work and each day were asked to reconfront 9/11 as they processed the claims from victims. This was sustained mental trauma. And so as we think on this anniversary, let us take a moment to remember the heroes and the helpers who played important roles in the days, months, and years after 9/11. They are owed our thanks and gratitude for their service. It is during these times that community finds a way forward. The executive committee members from the IAIABC at that time share a unique bond formed by 9/11 and strengthened by the resilience to overcome. Not long after the Portland event, the association pledged to host the 2004 convention in New York City. This decision was a demonstration of support that New York would rebuild and move forward. The 2004 IAIABC convention, held in New York City, just a block down from Times Square, celebrated 90 years of our community coming together, supporting one another, and strengthening workers' compensation. The convention also put on display the resilience of a city and its citizens determined to thrive after devastation. And so as we face September 11th, 2021, we take this time to remember, to grieve, and to recognize and hold place as special memories for those helpers and heroes. I end with silence to give you space for reflection and prayer.